Welcome to episode 88 of the Valley Sports Talk podcast. We are back today. We are a day out from our first ever Valley Sports Talk hockey tournament. It comes out the day of, so if you guys are watching it, you're either watching it after or on the day. So, um, yeah,
Sorry, I was taking a drink.
all good. So yeah, today we didn't really have much to talk about. We don't. Sorry, we have a lot. Do have a decent amount to talk about. Um, but we didn't talk about it that much.
Didn't talk about what?
What me and you, me and you, what we're talking about. Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Um,
Yeah, we're
we the
organized.
last week we forgot to bring up one thing was the excuse me, the Nylander extension. Which we forgot to talk about last week. Just sort of your thoughts, obviously being a Leafs fan, having $47 million tied up into four players that have not proven to be able to do anything in the playoffs and are currently only 2 points ahead of the Penguins for a playoff spot, and the Penguins have two games in hand on you guys.
Yeah, the Leafs
So
just love blowing
there's
leads
trouble. There's
recently.
trouble in Leafland right now.
When isn't there trouble in Leafland? I mean, um, obviously the season he's been having, you can't really complain about the money. Like 11.5 makes sense. When they were arguing in the summer, it seems irrelevant now. They should have just got that done if you're playing Willie on the first line with Matthews and Marner or Matthews and um, Nyes or Matthews and whoever. He's going to put up a lot of points. You knew this was definitely in the cards over the past couple years. Like you can assume he's going to be at least a point a game player. And I mean, if like 11.5 is just so much, and that wasn't in the cards over the summer. They were battling between like they were more in that like 10, maybe just over 10 in the nines.
Yeah.
Is so like it just it should have just been done in the summer if that was the case. If you were planning on putting Willie on the first line with Matthews, um, he's gonna assist all the goals. He's on the first power play. Like he just it was gonna happen. Like you saw it coming. Um, they just got no money to keep the puck out of the net now, and that's their biggest thing. They can score goals, but they can't keep the puck out of the net as we've seen recently. And if you can't keep the puck out of your net, I mean that's the whole thing in the playoffs, right? We've been saying the same thing about this team forever. Is the playoffs is a different style of hockey, and it's more of a keep your puck out of the net type of game than put the puck in the other team's net, and they can't do that. So
Yeah. Just sort of reiterating what you said, I think the Leafs wanted like 8.5 in the summer. Um, the
yeah.
Nylander camp wanted just north of 9. Obviously you didn't or not that you didn't expect it, but the Leafs weren't expecting Nylander to have the season he's playing. He's playing, he's probably going to finish top 10 in MVP voting. He's going to get votes there. He's an all-star for a reason. Obviously, looking back on it, the Leafs probably would rather have that 2 mil if Nylander wanted 9.5. Um, going into the season. I think the Leafs now would have jumped on that. Obviously you have Tavares this year and next year at 11. Then he is in his age 34 season. Probably you would just hope that he would take sort of a hometown discount, kind of maybe like along the lines of what Malkin and Letang took. Just the first ones that come to my mind. Maybe a longer term at a lower AAV. Save him some money there, but. You mentioned the trouble in net. You do have Joseph Wall coming back soon. He had a good start to the season until he got hurt. Um, do you think that having obviously 11 and 47 mil tied up in these four players is going to be an issue come playoff time?
I think it will be just because I actually don't think the troubles keeping the puck out of the net is actually on the goalies for this team. Wall's been pretty good. Like you can't ask for much more from that young of a goalie in the NHL. Martin Jones has been really good for the Leafs since being called up, and obviously Samsonov's been the problem. Like hasn't had a great season, obviously, but since he's come back from the AHL, he's actually been pretty good. Um, like we've seen flashes from him in the past, and you can kind of tell that not that he's going to turn it around and be a top five goalie or anything, but you can tell that at the beginning of the year, mental health or something mental was definitely playing a big part in that. As now that he's back from the AHL, he's played, I think, 3 games and he's looked pretty good in all three. Um, so I think it was just a mental block there. So I think they do have three, I wouldn't say any superstar goalies, but they got average goaltending. Um, and as you've seen from teams in the past, you can get by with average goaltending if your defense is good. But that's where Toronto lacks, is their defense. I don't think it's the goalie. I think it's the defense. And for years now, we've been saying add a defenseman, and maybe that would have been able to have been possible at the trade deadline. But after all this money, it's going to be tough to get a
Yeah, they're
defenseman
gonna
that
have
actually
to.
changes something.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
No,
there.
no, you're good.
They're gonna have. If I don't. I think they'll obviously make moves because the Leafs are obviously they've been in their win now mode since sort of they drafted Matthews, they got Tavares. They have all those. They have 47 mil locked up to four players. They're obviously in a win now situation, and this team is good enough to win now. They're just sort of on a little slump right now. Um, Obviously, you just mentioned a defenseman. Some names have been thrown out around Toronto regarding a defenseman. Um, they're gonna have to move some sort of contract of value to get a defenseman. Who is sort of the odd, like obviously they're not trading any of their top four. They're not going to trade somebody like Nyes. Who do you think sort of is the top sort of guy that is making a decent amount of money, maybe on the third or fourth line that sort of gets shipped out?
That's a good question because you look at this roster and everyone that's making money is you can't move them, right? Like I don't know where they find cap space. Like when you're looking at the defense, the only two people making above $2 million are TJ Brody and Morgan Riley, and you're not getting rid of either one of them, I don't think. I would be shocked if they got rid of TJ Brody, to be honest, even though he's on his last year of his contract. Um, so it's you can't make any cap space there, and on forwards like maybe Max Domi, who's making $3 million, but Max Domi's been good as a Leaf. Um, I think if you're going to trade someone, it's maybe got to be Tyler Bertuzzi. You haven't gotten what you wanted from him. He is making 5.5 on a 1 year deal. Um, and I think personally, I do think it's a 1 year rental anyways. I think that was the plan. Um, so if you do move somebody, maybe Bertuzzi, but then again, Bertuzzi, you don't see his true value until the playoffs. So I think honestly they're just kind of stuck at this point. I think this like upon like maybe a bottom pairing defenseman, I like Toronto needs a top four defenseman, and I just don't think they can get that anymore.
Yeah, it's see the first one that sort of came to mind for me was Yarncroke because I think he has. Like I know that he's been good for the Leafs and the Leafs probably don't want to trade him. But I think out of the forwards, like you named Bertuzzi's not doing what you want. Domi's been moved around so much in the last couple of years. I don't think either of those two get moved. I also don't think the Leafs sort of win a trade if they trade those, even though like you said, Bertuzzi has not been good. Um I as much as it sucks, I think Yarncroke is the odd one out in my opinion. Um and even then, I think you might have to attach somebody like Nicholas Robertson to a trade to get a decent defenseman, just based off how much the Leafs are in caps hell right now. And if you want, or even if you want, you can throw in like even I don't know if how much trade value Connor Timmins has to that, but to me, the one that will get you a defenseman, a decent defenseman, is Yarncroke. Because I think he has the most sort of value in that middle to bottom or that middle six range. And even then, I think the Leafs have to attach a higher draft pick too. And I don't think that really bothers them to at this point to attach a high draft pick to it.
No, I mean, yeah, like he's got 19 points in 42 games. Like he's gonna be a 40 point guy. He was a 40 point guy last year as well. Like that's just kind of what he is. He's on a pretty good contract, like 2 mil for the next 3 years. But then again, is a 32-year-old Kelly Yarncroke getting you a top 4D? Like, I mean, yes, you'd have to put in someone like you said, like a Nick Robertson or a draft pick. But other than that, like Toronto's prospects aren't that great, so there's not
Yeah,
much to
no.
trade there.
I do it sort of does. Um I don't know if Calgary would do it, but like someone like a Chris Tanev makes sense for Toronto. Like sort of lockdown defenseman can play the fourth pairing with either Giordano, who's clinging on to life, or even I don't know who else is on that D. Who else? Jake McCabe. Like that'd be a great shutdown to pairing. I don't You wouldn't get very much offense out of Jake McCabe and and Chris Tanev, but that would be a great um shutdown pairing. He is making 4.5, so Yarn Croak, I don't even know if that gets you unless the Flames retain. He would be a rental. He's a UFA this coming summer. But someone like that, I don't think you're getting Noah Hannafin. I think he's got too much.
There's no way.
Um, I'm just looking at some of these defensemen. Philip Broberg, he's only making 800K, but he's an RFA. I don't know if he really makes a whole lot of sense.
He's also not really defensive. Like
No,
he's
he's not.
I don't know, it's just tough because like I don't know, like you said, like obviously Chris Tanev's a shut it down guy. We've seen it in the playoffs before, but we keep getting these rentals and it's just like what's the point when you just lose in the first round like the Luke Shen last year? Like how many more times are we gonna get a 1 year
Rental. Yeah.
defensive rental just to lose? Like
Yeah.
are you gonna trade Nick Robertson just to get a 1 year like one playoff run of Chris Tanev? I don't
I don't know. Robertson is an RFA, so it would be sort of, I don't know. I don't know what I haven't watched Ranch Leafs games. Like, what do you think Robertson sort of projects to make this offseason? I don't think any more than 2 mil.
No, he's not going to
That's
make much,
close.
which is huge for the Leafs.
And they do have his rights, obviously. So if he does get matched, you can just let him go and get compensation for it.
Yeah, he's like a half a game player on the Leafs right now. I mean, with the ice time he's getting, that's pretty good. And he's still only 22. Injuries have kind of killed his career so far. So I do think he's still got quite a bit of potential if they can wait it out. I don't know if they have the patience to wait that out though with the roster they have right now. So we'll
Mhm.
see.
Anyways, we'll sort of move off the Leafs. We'll jump on to another Toronto team. Except this time we're going to talk about the Raptors. We don't talk very much basketball anymore on this pod, where it's more of a NFL, NHL. But the Raptors, 100% going into the Scotty Barnes era. Couple weeks ago, they traded, or just before New Year's, they traded OG to the Knicks for RJ Barrett, Emmanuel quickly, and a second round pick. They also got rid of Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn, who are just sort of playing late bench minutes for them. But then yesterday, they officially went into the full rebuild slash. I think it's more of a retool. I think they're too bad to be in a complete rebuild. Or I think they're too good, sorry, to be in a complete rebuild. Pascal Siakam to the Indiana Pacers for Bruce Brown, Jaden Nwora, and 3 first-round picks. And then they also acquired Kyra Lewis from a third team from the Pelicans. Being that we don't talk much basketball, do you like these moves?
Yeah, obviously, we were watching when they made their title run there, and OG and Pascal were huge parts of that. But it's time. They've been so mediocre basically ever since that title run, and being mediocre in professional sports is the worst spot to be. You either want to be really good or really bad. Um, they're just fighting for that play-in spot just to not make it and then not get a good draft pick. So they finally went in the direction. I'm so happy they did. Emmanuel quickly and RJ Barrett have both looked really good in a Raptors uniform so far. Emmanuel quickly has shined in a starting role now. He wasn't starting in New York, and I think that's huge for him. They're both under 25 also, which is huge. And that second round pick is a Detroit, so
Basically, a late first.
it's basically a first round pick. And then for Pascal, I'm kind of shocked they got three firsts for him. Honestly, he's been on the block for what seems like 2 years now, and to still get
And he's and
three.
he's expiring this year.
Yeah, exactly. You're not guaranteed to bring him back. Like to get three firsts and two rotational players, although they're still in their 20s, but they're both over 20
I
26, I
think
believe.
I think Bruce
Uh,
Brown gets flipped.
I do too. I think if they can turn Bruce Brown into another first round pick, then like I
They
feel like
already
a
have
contender
they
would
I,
be
they
looking for
already
him.
have I think they already have projected 4 first-round picks this year, the Raptors.
Yeah, and if
Or three in a late second or in an
but they
early second.
also I was watching a video on it. They have to um
Give the worst of the picks to someone
no that it's they have 3 years to give the Spurs, I think, one of their draft picks from the Pirtle
from the
trade.
Pirtle trade. So yeah. So yeah, like you said, and we do have RJ is locked up. He is making a decent amount of money, but I mean, you have him locked up for the next four. You don't have to worry about that. You have Quickly who's still in his rookie deal. I'm sure they can get that. And even then, like we just said, this is now Scotty Barnes' team. In their first win last night, they beat a playoff team in the Miami Heat by over 25 points. So I mean, obviously a very good start to the Scotty Barnes era. Um, I don't I don't really want them to make a play-in tournament this year. I want them to get a higher draft pick. I'm down for them just to completely tank and just sort of gain the chemistry of Quickly, um, Barnes and RJ. S- but I don't know. It's weird. I don't know where I was going with that, but I'd rather them be out of the play-in because the play-in tournament, all you gotta do is win one game and you're in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden your lottery pick turns into a late teens pick because you ain't going anywhere in the playoffs. You're not beating the Pacers, you're not beating the Bucks, Philly, you're not beating any of those guys. So it doesn't really make sense for me for the Raptors situation right now to fight for a play-in spot. I know obviously the Raptors are gonna you want to win games as a franchise, you don't want to just lose. But it doesn't make sense to me for them to continue trying to play into a play-in spot.
No, like I'm just looking at the overall stats right now, and you look at the teams underneath them. You got the Pistons, the Spurs, the Wizards, the Hornets, the Trailblazers, the Grizzlies. I think the Raptors are better than all the teams they're above right now, so I don't see them dropping any farther than that. They're
And
seventh
even then,
worst in the league.
I saw the gap in the East at least. I don't know about the West, but like from the where the Raptors are, I think like the next team is like 6 or 7 games below them.
Yeah, the Raptors are 16 games back, and the Hornets are 22 and a half, which is
Yeah,
six and a half.
6.5 games.
Um, but yeah, like there's the teams right above them. The East is still close. Like the Brooklyn Nets are half a game up on them. The Hawks are a game up on them. The Bulls are 2 games up on them. So I feel like you don't want to pass those guys because, like you said, you're not beating the Celtics, you're not beating the Bucks, you're not beating the 76ers. Like it's just there's no point. So if you can stay in that top seven range, I think that's kind of ideal because, like I said, it's going to be hard to drop underneath the teams that are already underneath them. There's
Anyways,
some
yep.
sad teams in the NBA this
Yeah,
year.
there is. No kidding. Anyways, it's a new era in Toronto. Moving on, just to quickly get to the final sport. Just some head coaching news. Atlanta is having their second interview with Bill Belichick. So all signs are pointing towards the greatest coach of all time joining Atlanta. I have yet to sort of get it past my brain that I like this move. I just tearing everything down for 2 to 3 years of Belichick doesn't make sense to me.
I'm still um I'm still on the same path that we were on last episode. I just don't think it makes sense with a young quarterback, whether that is um oh my God, I'm blanking.
Ritter,
Whether that is Desmond Ritter or you go elsewhere in the draft.
or even trade for Justin Fields. I know it's been rumored, but
Really, I haven't heard that. That'd be crazy. Um, yeah, I just don't think it makes much sense either way. You're gonna have a young quarterback. I think either way. I think it would. I just don't see a Kirk
I don't
Cousins
see
kind of
I
thing.
being a
What
Falcons fan, I don't see Ritter running it back. So it's going to be a new quarterback, in my opinion. They could completely just throw me out and go for a third year, but I don't think, especially if you sign Belichick, you're going to all in. You're going to be a competitive team, or you're trying to be a competitive team, which I think Atlanta is. We saw them be competitive this year. They were one win away or one win and a loss from the Bucks from being in the playoffs playing Philly. Um, they just didn't have a quarterback. They had a great defense. They had a top five defense in the league this year, stats wise. And they have weapons, young weapons on the offense. They just need a quarterback to finish that system. I don't know. It's weird. I was gonna say I'll preach that, but I think everybody knows that at this point that all they need is a quarterback, which obviously is the most important position in football. So
I mean, I kind of agree with that. Their defense is a lot better than previous years. They're not the choke artists of the NFL anymore. I don't think.
no, usually it's
But
their defense. Now it's their offense.
yeah, exactly. But they still got Kyle Pitts. They just need to find a quarterback that'll actually throw to him. Drake London had a huge year this year. Obviously they got tons of RB depth that is whether it's Cordell or it's
Bijan.
Bijan, or it's,
RIG.
you can Tyler Algier. You got just so many options back there. So, and they're all good pass catchers as well. So, um, yeah, I don't know. This team's offense seems pretty good and young. The defense seems pretty good. And they just need a quarterback, and maybe with Bill Belichick they get one. So we'll see about that.
Yep.
But we had the first round of the playoffs,
Yes. Oh,
in the NFL.
how did I not talk about that?
I don't know. We both got the Texans right.
I got one pick right.
You
Nobody.
only got one?
I only got. I only got
The Texans.
I only got the Texans right.
Damn, I got one,
I,
two.
nobody. If you're listening to this, don't listen to me for football knowledge, betting picks. Don't listen to me at all. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I went 4 for 6. I didn't pick the Chiefs or the Cowboy or the Packers. Sorry, so I got those
Even my
ones
dad
wrong.
was heckling me. He texts me after the on Monday after the games. He goes, "Nice picks." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
one
don't
for
listen to
six.
me."
I'll take 66%. I'll take 4 for 6. It was kind of the week of upsets. Like I know the Texans weren't favored. They won. We were supposed to get a close game with the Chiefs. That was never close. The Packers destroyed the Cowboys, even though the score was closer than it actually was. Um, the Rams and Lions was really the only game that lived up to it. Like that was a really good game. Um, Bills destroyed the Steelers, and the Bucks destroyed the Eagles. The Eagles had nothing going. Um,
You called that one.
Probably
I'll give
Kelsey's
you that
last
one.
game.
Who?
You think it's Kelsey's last game?
Jason?
Yeah.
You already retired.
Is it official?
Yeah, you
I
already announced. You announced it. They announced it like right after the game.
No, I know, but then he went on a podcast and said he hasn't decided yet on his
Oh,
podcast with his
oh.
brother.
Well, the
So,
NFL has already posted all of it. I feel like he's going to anyways, even if he did say that.
yeah, we'll see, I guess. What do you think about, should we do predictions for this week?
Yeah,
See if
let's
you can
quickly make
redeem
some
yourself?
picks before I gotta get off to coaching.
Sounds good. On Saturday, we got the first game is Houston and Baltimore. I think this is going to be a good one.
I think it's gonna be a good one too. I'm gonna stick with this is the only one I got right. I'm gonna stick with my pick that was posted. I'm gonna go Ravens, even though I think the Texans can put up a fight here.
Yeah, did our um when we did our Instagram thing, I think I picked the Ravens over the Texans as well, so I will keep that.
You had the Ravens winning the bowl.
I did have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl, so let's go Ravens. I think it should still be a close game though, because CJ Stroud doesn't turn the ball over, so it should be a good one. The late game on Saturday, which kind of sucks because I won't be able to watch it or because we're at this tournament, is the Packers and San Fran.
Yeah, I had San Fran. Oh, I didn't have the Packers beating Dallas, even though they completely um made me look like an idiot. I have the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. I just think they're too complete of a team. I think this defense will give Jordan Love a bit more of a tough time than the Dallas defense did. So I will go stick with the 49ers in this, even though I was very impressed by Green Bay and Jordan Love, especially in their first game.
Yeah, I had the Ravens and San Fran meeting in the Super Bowl just as you did. We're switching that. We got to be bandwagon. They beat Dallas. That came out of
You can't call
nowhere.
yourself a bandwagon. You already cheer for
I
them.
guess, but I'm gonna hop on the underdog story here. If they can play like they played against Dallas, um, you can give any team a fight. So as long as they don't turn the ball over, it should be closer than the 9.5 the books are giving them. I'll ride with my Packers. The early game on Sunday is Tampa Bay and Detroit.
Yeah, I didn't pick either of these teams. I was very impressed with Baker, so I'm gonna ride with Baker. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
Bucks.
Baker did look really good. But so did this Detroit Lions team, especially in their home barn. I think
Gonna
it's
be
gonna be
loud there too.
it's gonna be very loud. I'm gonna ride Detroit. I think we're gonna have an NFC North conference finals.
Look at you.
And then Kansas City Buffalo,
Yeah,
probably the game of the week.
obviously we've seen this the last what 3 years in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It always goes Kansas City. This time I'm gonna go Buffalo. I don't want to, but I'm going to.
You know what?
First time Patrick Mahomes hasn't played at home in the playoffs, other
You
than the
know what?
Super
You make a very good point. You are right. It always goes Kansas City's way. and it still will go Kansas City's way. I think Kansas City wins this one. Um, Rashee Rice looked really good.
Even
And I don't know,
Pacheco.
Buff. We'll see what Buff.
I said Pacheco is going to be the difference maker if Kansas City's going to win. Pacheco was good.
Pacheco was very good, and the Bills didn't. Even though the score was lopsided, I feel like they didn't destroy the Steelers in a
No,
way that
I was
probably
impressed with the
should have.
Steelers second half.
Yeah, me too, which kind of scares me
Fair
for the
enough.
Bills. So we'll see.
It's gone Kansas City's way too much, though. I know that they love Patrick Mahomes, but
Look, you and me
something's got to
disagreed
change.
for 3 of the 4 picks, so one of us is gonna have a good
One of us is
weekend,
going to be
one of
really
us won't.
wrong.
I think that's good.
Yeah, so at that, we'll wrap it up. We got a busy weekend, or Brandon has a busy weekend because he's mainly running it, even though
We all
I'll be
do.
there majority of it, helping him out. But yeah, if you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and we will be back next week.
It's just luck in the tournament.